So, this is what you all have been waiting for. This is the video that I've been waiting to release this entire time that we've been doing these Oklahoma State videos. And I am very excited to finally bring you our Dustin Taylor, our DT one-on-one interview. And now, again, I have to say thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your program. And I'm very gracious that they allowed me to be a part of their family. And I want you guys to know, before you start watching this video, this is one of the most insightful videos we have done when it comes to understanding college tennis. If you don't know who DT is, or if you don't know who Dustin Taylor is, this is what you need to know. He has worked with 7 top 100 Americans. He has worked with the University of Virginia. He was the associate head coach. He won 3 national titles down there. So if you talk about championship pedigree, this is who you think of. And he's building one of the toughest teams, not only in the Big 12, but in the nation right now. So I am very pleased to have him on the channel to do this one-on-one interview. And before you guys watch this video, make sure you are subscribed. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers as soon as possible, hopefully by the end of this year, but we have less than a month. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you leave a like on the video, and make sure you share this one with a friend. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Now, enjoy our interview with Dustin Taylor.
That might just be, for fluff.
No, there's no such thing as fluff here.
Yes.
The man of the hour. The last interview of the trip. Welcome.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. It's been a fun 48, and big fan of you and what you do. And
thank you.
To have you here in Stillwater, share 48 hours with you, let you in the program. Hopefully it was a trip worthwhile.
It definitely was, and I can't thank you and your guys enough. You don't have to tear up for me. I appreciate.
We're gonna miss you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and for you, kind of getting into your career and who you are. If you guys don't know, DT is the amazing head coach here, building a program essentially from scratch when he first arrived to now making it a threat in the Big 12. And for a guy that's been with 7 top 100 players, USTA development.
Not sure the number ever.
Really?
Yeah. No,
okay. From this is from the bio. Yeah. 7 top 100 players, going from Virginia, then going to the business world to now coming to Oklahoma State.
Yep.
So how did you, because you played college tennis, what made you want to coach?
Well, college tennis for me really saved my love for tennis, brought back my love for tennis. I was one of those good 10, 12-year-olds, or at least thought I was good.
That's fair.
Went to IMG Academy, Bolletary Academy, had a great coach, mentor, and Mike DePalmer Sr., who was University of Tennessee's head coach. I would fly back to Knoxville, spend time in that environment and around him. But he's the one that took me down to IMG Academy. And, I kind of burned out in my junior career.
Okay.
And really went to college to help, pay my parents back, play college tennis. But it wasn't going to college tennis and going to college to play tennis because I loved tennis at the time. Yeah. That being said, I spent my first year at Wisconsin. I went to Wisconsin, the business school, one of the top business schools in the country. Great coach, Pat Klingelholtz, great teammates, and really, really developed my love for tennis again through, playing for others, playing for something bigger than yourself, and just having a team around you. And, like I said, something to represent day in and day out. And then transferred to University of Tulsa and met my wife there. Pretty much everything in my life, I'm 41 years old. Everything in my life, looking back, is thanks to tennis. So I got a huge debt of gratitude to the sport, everyone that's been a part of my journey, and all the players that have ever let me in and let me be a part of their journey and their careers. Again, I love college tennis, what it stands for, and also the passion and the love that a lot of times comes back to players as they come to college tennis.
And that kind of sums up your vision or your dedication to not only this, but to
everything in life and battling and fighting for everything, working hard, and you have a very dedicated work ethic. And when we first spoke, when I first arrived here, the first time I met you in person is when you picked me up from the airport. The experience you had with the Virginia boys, where you won a national title, three. Yeah. We're just going to keep going up. We're just going to keep going up.
Only there for 3 years.
3 years, 3 titles. Can you describe your time at UVA before OSU?
Yeah, I mean, those were...
That's like a success story in and of itself when you think about it.
That was, prior to Virginia, I was a national coach at USTA, had developed a job, a role within the federation that I absolutely loved and cherished, a job description that I wrote and ended up taking to head up college tennis and look after college players while they're in school and their first few years out on tour.
Gotcha.
So I, till this day, wasn't, like most jobs, I wasn't looking for a career change, wasn't looking for a new job. I was loving what I was doing at the USTA, and Brian Bolin, came to me and said, "Hey, we've got something special here in Charlottesville," which I knew because again, overseeing college tennis, you knew of Virginia, of course. Yes. At that point, they had won one national championship, 2013, and I'd spent a few weeks within their program, helping Jameer Jenkins, helping the Mitchell Franks, Damajans, trying to help however I possibly could. And then they had the Charlottesville Challenger. So again, I knew Charlottesville was a special place. I knew Virginia tennis was super special. Yeah. And Brian, recruited me up there and just said, "Hey, come for 3 years. We've got a sophomore class in Tyke Waitkowski, JC Aragon, Luca Quarantelli, Alexander Richard, and then our freshman class, Henrik Wiersholm, Colin Altamirano. Hopefully I'm not leaving anyone out, but an amazing young team to come in, and I'm ready to work together and try and do something special. And that was just 3 years that were not easy. Nothing's easy. Success. There were a lot of times of doubt. There was a lot of times of fear, a lot of anxiety. You come into a program and you don't want to be the one that lets it down. And Brian did a remarkable job of just relieving pressure in the right way for both the players and the staff to really do something extraordinary and special. Those guys really bought into the culture of team, and being humble servants to each other, serving one another, being the ultimate teammate, understanding that there is no I in team. And, all those great things that you want to project to your team. You want your guys to always leave college tennis understanding, because ultimately life is a team game. You will never have success, and if you do have success just on your own or convinced yourself that it was just you, it's really not that glorifying and not that fun. So it was special. I learned a tremendous amount, and Brian was incredible at empowering, inspiring, putting the right people in the right seats on the bus, and
please subscribe. Thanks.
Making them feel like they were a massive spoke in the wheel. And it's 3 years that I'll never forget. All of our players will never forget. And now here at Oklahoma State, that's what I'm trying to emulate and trying to provide to our players. Just give them the best 4 years of their life. If they win, great. If they lose, great. There's obviously tons of opportunity to learn from losing, but really just give them an experience, learn life lessons together, and really prepare them for the next chapter in their life, in their journey, which is the first time where they really have to provide. They have to provide for their family. They have to provide for themselves. We have a huge responsibility in our role to prepare these guys for the real world. We are the last chapter. When they leave this program, life will never be the same. So I take that responsibility not lightly, and relish the opportunity and make a tremendous amount of mistakes day in and day out.
Yeah.
But the heart's in the right place. Do my best for the guys, and hope staff, players, all involved have incredible years, year in and year out.
And it's amazing when you think about it, how much you really do impact these kids, and how you try to create a culture that's going to involve everyone and not leave anyone out, especially from playing I love what you said yesterday, a selfishly unselfish sport.
Yep.
I believe that's how you phrased it. And
Yep.
Can you talk about that phrase in the sense of what that would mean as a tennis player on a college tennis team?
Yeah, people get lost in the word selfish, and in the fact that you need to be selfish to be successful. You need to be selfish in certain aspects. You need to be selfish with your time. You need to be selfish, in ways like that. But actually, being selfish at someone else's expense, that will only hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And to learn that, you have a great opportunity in college tennis to learn just that.
Yeah.
And being fortunate enough to be out on tour for 12, 15 years that I was, the majority of my career, you realize that as you go up the rankings, believe it or not, the selflessness actually increases.
Yeah.
At the futures level, I don't want to say that they're consisted of a tremendous amount of selfish players and people, but they're on their own.
Yeah.
They're not serving their team.
Yeah.
They're not playing. They're playing for themselves, which isn't easy for everybody.
Yeah.
You do see the best fighting and the best competing in college tennis out of all
levels.
All levels.
Yeah.
And I would attribute that to the fact that they have so much to play for.
Yeah.
And so, when a prime example I give to these guys is whenever you practice with a top player. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of the USTA, be a part of the tour where I have been on the court with the best of the best, and they will go out of their way to get that practice partner to be as comfortable as possible. Ask them how they're doing, what's their story, what brings them to wherever they are, and dive into them so that player can relax, and then in turn give them the best practice. So that's being unselfishly selfish is to look across the net and say, I'm going to give this guy the best practice I possibly can. So in turn, they give me the best practice that they possibly can. And so again, there's so many tricks to it. You see guys, and I've had guys that are getting beat up in a practice set, and they're about to go away mentally. And the other guy makes a joke, or the other guy kind of gives the guy the game or something. That's being unselfishly selfish.
And I love that.
It's I think a hidden trait that you see amongst great people is they understand that, if they serve others, if they're unselfish, in turn, they're going to get a lot in return. Although that's not ultimately why you want to do things in life.
Exactly.
Is for things in your return. But you will get them.
Yeah. And for you too, working with pros and working in that pro environment where you've seen the best of the best play. You've worked with some of the best Americans. So for you, when you take that experience and you bring it here and you try to emulate that experience for the guys that you're coaching or the guys you're trying to mold into this program, what do you try to do specifically that is helping them replicate what you see on the pro tour?
Just day in and day out consistency.
Okay.
The best players in the world, they're the most consistent. Their variable from high end to low end is very small. And they pride themselves on the tough times. They pride themselves on, to be honest, the best players in the world they're the best losers in the world. They believe it or not, they lose points better than everybody else. They lose games better than everybody else. They lose sets better than everybody else, and they lose matches better than everybody else. They play every point. They play till the end. And a lot of times, how well they lose that 52% or 55%, it doesn't dictate or I shouldn't say the 45%, 48%, you know, I think Roger's statistic of points won to points lost is like across his career is 55 to 45. You know, it's not like
Wow.
Roger won 75% of the points.
Yeah.
He just, how he managed the 45% or 47, whatever percent that he loses, just better than everybody else.
Yeah.
So to understand that, to learn that opportunity lies in the tough times.
Yeah.
Opportunity lies in the losing. Opportunity lies in the tired days.
Yeah.
That's when your career is going to be defined. That's when your life's going to be defined, because everybody can win.
Yeah.
Everybody can play well when everything feels good.
Yeah.
It's all about the days that don't feel good. All
Yeah.
about the days that you don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You don't want to put it on the line.
Yeah.
And so that's probably the biggest thing that we focus on here is, you know, day in and day out in practice,
Yeah.
there's going to be a winner and a loser.
Yeah.
We have a culture of competitiveness, and so we try and compete more than any other program as much as we can.
Yeah.
We don't want to compare ourselves to others, so I should say we just try to compete a lot.
Yeah.
And understanding that the real opportunity actually lies in the ones that are having the tough day.
Yeah, and one thing that popped into my head when you were saying that too is a lot of the times when I teach, or like you hear, especially from the Breakpoint series, is that you're a loser every week unless you win the tournament. And from that mentality, it not only makes tennis players, but normal, like people that play for fun or people that play for their club, like think about, you're really only losing unless you win the whole thing.
Yep.
Every single week. And I think that's a concept that's lost,
Yep.
at least in the tennis world.
Yeah, I mean, again, a great year, you win 3 events. We're talking
Yeah.
about Manarino's great year, and he just won 3 events.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
He probably played 28 to 30 events. So he walked away, you know, humbled, undressed in a way, with some doubts.
Yeah.
With a little bit of fear if this
Yeah.
is the last time he's going to win. And then having to find opportunity in it all.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's you know, one of our 10 words that we really, really focus on here is being opportunistic.
Yeah.
You know, the top players in the world, they're incredibly opportunistic. You know, been super fortunate to be in the locker room and hear them talk, hear them act, or see them act, and really try and understand how they tick.
Yeah.
And they are just seeking opportunity wherever they can find it. You know,
Yeah.
if they get broken first game, great opportunity to break right back.
Yeah.
If they lose the first set, great opportunity to get uncomfortable. If I'm going to win this tournament, I'm going to be in these situations amongst probably higher level players than I am right now.
Yeah.
If they lose first round, they say unbelievable opportunity to take what I need from this week.
Yeah.
Tackle it, work on it.
Exactly.
Get to the next event early.
Yeah.
You know, they're always finding the opportunity. And, you know, it's something we talk about with these guys is find the opportunity. Whether it's success or failure, find the opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you know, that's a huge step into getting to the best version of yourself, is constantly finding an opportunity and constantly find ways to be right there, right then, and know that there's no place that you would rather be.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And not just from a player's perspective, but also from a coach's perspective as well. When you talk about these things, or you're trying to instill all this knowledge onto kids like your team, how would you define leadership in a way if I said define leadership?
Yeah, leadership is empowering and inspiring.
Okay.
For me, it's understanding your role. You know, communication's a huge part of it.
Absolutely.
Something that I need to get a ton better. It's what I've been exposed. Something that's been exposed in my leadership over the last 2 years, being at the top of the ladder.
Yeah.
So just constant communication, constant empowerment, and constant inspiration. You know, having hard conversations, you know, but having the right conversations at the right time. You know,
Yeah.
timing is everything. And again, as I say these, I know how long of a ways I have to go to be at my best, you know. And I try to tell these guys that, you know, as much as I can, that hey, there's no denying that I'm a third-year head coach.
Yeah.
There's no denying that I'm a young head coach. I'm going to make a ton of mistakes.
Yeah.
And I apologize in advance. Just know that they come from the right place. Try to remove emotion. Try to seek answers.
Yeah.
And then try to make decisions.
Yeah.
But you know, emotionally driven decisions will hurt leadership.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, empowering.
Yeah.
And inspiring for me is what leadership is, and just being I'm definitely servant leadership is what I follow. I do this for them. Yeah. And you know, whether it be blowing off the courts for the event, running to get their meals. Yeah. Again, never being above anything. Yeah. And just lead by example.
That's one thing that I've been hearing, at least with the common theme, and it seems like you are getting to them, because every Tyler, Isaac, Alex, leading by example, not just with what you say to them, but leading through their own character, or how the younger guys see them when they're on court, how they handle themselves in pressure situations, how their attitude is. And I think that's one of the hardest things that you can do, at least from my perspective, and speaking from my own experiences. It's harder to do as I say, not as I do, because you can have your own ways of going about things, but then you could be teaching the complete opposite, so that way they don't make your mistakes, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Again, lead by example is the easiest way to lead. Yeah. And it's the most natural way to lead in today's times. Yeah. You know, these guys, there's no denying that this generation has gone through a lot. You know, this is a COVID generation. Yeah. This is an isolated generation. Yeah. This is a comparison generation. Yes. They have been through a tremendous amount. Yeah. And then on top of that, to ask them to be a vocal leader, to ask them to be things that they naturally are not. Yeah. Again, it's our job as influencers or leaders, or, you know, people of impact, to get everyone that we're leading to play within their identity, to lead within their identity, to understand their identity, and that's from, you know, their game style, that's to their competitive identity. We talk a lot about that. Yeah. You know, if you are an introvert, then screaming and yelling and doing all those things is probably uncomfortable. Yeah. And it's only going to hurt you. So be a silent assassin. Yeah. Do it with your posture. Yeah. Do it with your walk. Yeah. Do it with your racket shake. Do it with, you know, ways that is within your own skin. Yeah. So you're not trying to be something you're not. Okay. And that goes to leadership as well. Yeah. You know, I'm not a huge vocal leader. I'm not the rah guy. I'm more the hopefully body language, hopefully lead by example, hopefully the eyes is my leadership, the intensity. You know, there's so many ways to lead. The most important one is that you're doing it within who you are. So, you know, from these guys, you know, let the verbal leading, let the accountability holding, let a lot of these things, if it's not natural for you, let us do that. Okay. You know, if you feel like a guy is going away in practice, let us know that, and we'll get on them. Okay. If it's not natural for you to be a bit confrontational. And then lead by example. Yeah. You know, don't let it affect you. Yeah. Again, find the opportunity. You know, if a guy's going away in practice, guess what? You either say this guy's not being a good teammate, or you say this is going to happen in a match. Yeah. This is going to happen, and I'm going to thank this practice because this is happening to me now. He's tanking, or he's just he's disengaged and ripping every ball, but now some of them are starting to go in. Yeah. You know, you'll thank this moment, believe it or not, if you look at it the right way. Yeah,
I totally agree. And for you too, one thing that you put up on this wall, and we talked about it when I first came in, is cowboy grit. I think that's one of the coolest things I've heard when it comes to understanding how you want someone to play or how you want someone to act. And we talked about this yesterday too. OSU has a huge legacy with wrestling and with their wrestling coach as well. We talked about how someone's grit and how they hold themselves. And Cowboy Grit stands for a lot of things, but you put different words behind each letter. And talk about what Cowboy Grit means to you and what it means to this team.
Well, it's taken a few years to really understand this university, understand this community, understand Stillwater, and what we're all about. Yeah. It's a very blue collar town.
Yes.
And you want to align your program with that. It's a very humble town. You want to align your program with that. Because again, otherwise your players won't fit into the fabric of the community and into the fabric of the university and the athletic department. So, we are a gritty athletic department. Yeah. We're not the brightest of bright lights, although we do have bright lights, and we are, the fifth most national championships in Division I athletics. We aren't UCLA, USC, Texas, Florida, Stanford. But what we are is hardworking. What we are is gritty. What we are is maximizers of what we have, and what we are is humble and grateful. And so, Cowboy Grit really came to fruition last season. Last off season, we're trying to think about themes for the team. We're trying to think about our identity as a program. At Virginia, it was pretty clear. It was all about excellence. Yeah. Academic excellence and athletic excellence. Here it's about work. It's about mastering your craft. It's about, you come to Stillwater, you come to Oklahoma State to master a craft. Yeah. You don't come here for the beach. You don't come here for the mountains. You don't come here for any extrinsic things.
Extracurriculars of the flashiness around the university.
Victor Hovland comes here to become the number one golfer in the world. Cade Cunningham came here to be the number one NBA lottery pick. He can develop his skills. There's no distractions here. There's no stress. And that's what we all love about this place. It brings the right people here. And if you aren't the right person, you'll know pretty quickly and you'll move on. And that's okay. But, back to Cowboy Grit, it's really 10 words that if you can really wrap your head around, if these players can leave understanding those 10 words and pride themselves on those 10 words, then we have we feel like we've done our job. And it starts with commitment, being committed to yourself, being committed to your family, being committed to the university, being committed to Cowboy tennis. Then opportunistic. We already talked about that. Just always seeking opportunity. Then willing. You got to be willing to suffer. You got to be willing to serve. You got to be willing to be humble. You gotta have will. Rafa will show you that will over skill will be successful. And then we're down to B, which is brave. You got to be brave. You got to be brave in the big moments. You got to be bold. You got to believe. And then organized, you got to be organized with your thoughts. You got to be organized. Not everybody has to be organized within, their life. They can be a little disorganized, with their room or with, certain aspects. But you got to be organized with your thoughts. And for a lot of people like myself, that means to get organized thoughts, I got to be organized outside of my thoughts. And And I got to have a clean car. I got to have a clean house. I got to have those things, and that's a bit of OCD out of me, but which you've seen during your time here.
A little bit, not too much.
And then you get down to youthfulness, being youthful. It is a game. We all gravitated towards this game for a reason. Always tapping into it. We're gonna, when you're tired, you wanna tap into your youthfulness, and that it's, again, games were created to be fun. Games were created to be played. So play them, have fun. And then, so Cowboy, there's Cowboy, and then you get down to the grit. And that everything starts with gratitude. There's your G right there. respect is a huge thing.
Yeah.
This community is all about respect, humility, gratitude.
Yeah.
And so having respect everyone, fear no one.
Yeah.
Intrigued, you got to be interested.
Yeah.
If you study Kobe Bryant, he was as interested in his craft and in life as anyone in the world.
Yeah.
And that's what will keep you engaged. That's what will keep you fulfilled in life, is being interested and constantly learning.
Yeah.
And then, the last one is T. That spells out the grit, and that's just trust.
Yeah.
You got to trust the process. You got to trust each other. You got to trust that everything happens for a reason, and you just got to trust life's journey.
And it seems like a lot, but it's really just
10 words.
It's 10 words. It's just
Yep.
10 words that go a longer way than you would anticipate. And for you, when you came up with that theme, do you change out any of the words, or does it stay the same 10 words throughout the entire season?
It's until a word needs to be replaced, or a characteristic is just, gratitude is something that has really come to our attention in the last 5-10 years.
Yes.
10 years really came during my Virginia time. I wouldn't say I grew up as a kid really knowing what gratitude was, or that word was really
important,
prevalent. You know? It's been a buzzword in coaching. It's been a buzzword in this world for probably 10 years. Where social media and you can't go very far without somebody talking about having gratitude.
Yeah.
So if a buzzword comes along and it fits within the cowboy grit, then we'll change it. Otherwise, again, it's 10 words that you think over 4 years of constant reminder, constant having pride for, that they'll retain and they'll take on into the real world.
And for you too, as a college coach, there's a lot that we could talk about in terms of the influence you can have on someone and what you try to instill into them. And we've talked a lot about that, but I wanted to talk a little bit now with college tennis itself and trusting your assistants with Marty and Max. We've seen during the couple days that we've been here, you being kind of the outside looking in and understanding what you can see from afar versus what Max and Marty are seeing on the court. And I asked you this too, do you like being on the outside from just coaching on the court? And your perspective really was interesting to me, because I don't think many other coaches that I've talked to like to be far away watching kind of the full court perspective rather than just one side.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of my career was on tour. Yeah, where I sat on the sideline, I sat up above, looking down on the court. Yeah. Television angle. Yeah. And so when I can have the opportunity to have an assistant down on the court in the trenches and watching it right on top of the match. Yeah. And I can have the opportunity to watch from above. I see the game better. Yeah. From that vantage point. Yeah. Again, it's something new this year that I've really focused on. Okay. At the All-American, now that we have 3 paid coaches. Yeah. You need to adjust and adapt. That's what life's about. So now we got 2 coaches. It's their full-time job. This is what they're dedicated to. This is their craft. They love being on court. They love to be in the trenches. I've had my time in the trenches. Brian Bolin, that was my job. Was to be the player development guy, to be on the court guy, to learn, evolve every day within tennis. He was in the job of managing all of us. Yes. And that's, like I said earlier, that's the biggest thing I probably learned from Brian. Okay. Was the ability to really empower those that you've hired, really put them in situations that they want to be in and they love. And for Marty especially, he loves tennis. This guy lives, breathes, dies by it. Yeah. Watches it, studies it, spends the summer out with Mackie McDonald and the ATP Tour to see what the standard is out there, what adjustments are being made, what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I'd be a fool to then also put most of my time, there when that's covered in a lot of ways. And so it allows me to really come in at the right times with these guys. I love to see, you never want to see a guy struggle, but when guys are struggling, then I'm there for them. Then I'll jump on the court with them and add my 2 cents and work together with their lead coach, whether it be Marty or Max. Each guy has 5 guys assigned to him currently. And try and problem solve with them. But really it's why I wanted to take this job. I wanted to be the CEO, to try to empower and inspire a staff along with the players, and not just the players.
And like you said, running your own business, this is what it is. This is, even though it's not an LLC, it's not under your name, you're the CEO, COO of Cowboy Tennis. And I feel like not a lot of people get that, because while you do have a team, you're still the one to make the final decisions when it comes to how it operates and how it works.
It's again, for me, it's the greatest job in the world. It's not entirely my money. We get a budget. We get certain number of staff members. We get to hire them. We get to inspire. We get to learn about managing a budget. We get to learn about running events. We get to learn about management. We get to learn about all the things I went to business school for. We get to actually
use it. And for hosting the tournament this year, you're hosting Big 12 and NCAAs. That alone must be just as stressful, because I asked CY this earlier. What does that mean for your program and for your guys to not only compete at home, but to see the level across the whole board?
Just opportunity, right? It's an amazing opportunity. We have a great schedule. Bring in some of the best teams in the country that want to come here to Stillwater. Want to feel the courts, want to feel the community. We've been working and building this team for 2024. This is the best team that we've had in my 3 years. Collaborated with the right guys, the right amount of experience, the right amount of youthfulness. And again, we had these fall tournaments. This is our 4th fall tournament that you're experiencing this weekend. Hosted regionals, which is a big event. You're bringing in 128 players, somewhere around that number. And we really wanted to host those events so we could get exposed. Again, you put yourself in the arena to get exposed. As a player, as a tournament director, which is what I've been for these 4 events. To understand operationally, how do we get exposed? To understand facilities wise, how do we get exposed? Are our scoreboards ready? Are our officials ready? Are our processes ready? So for me, it's been an amazing fall to really put on a new hat that I haven't really worn. And luckily from my side of the coin, we kind of have the blueprint in running the NCAAs, because we were supposed to host it in 2021 when I wasn't a part of the program. Or in I think 21.
It was 21, and then it got...
Or 20. Because I was hired in the summer of 21.
Was that COVID year?
COVID year. So I think 2020?
2020 was COVID year that everything shut down. And then 2021 was when we opened everything back up.
Okay. So...
It must have been that year. Okay.
So we have the play. We just got to run it. And CY is really the man behind it.
Absolutely.
So again, I wouldn't have, it would have been tough for me to take this job if Chris Young wasn't on the other side. He's someone I can lean on as a head coach for a number of things, leadership wise. program running wise.
Yep.
He's the director of tennis here for a reason.
Yep.
He's built it.
Yeah. This is his baby.
Yeah. And again, he showed me that there's no excuses here in Stillwater.
Yeah.
They were a point away back in 2016 from winning a national championship. We have every resource. We have all the support in the world. We the university is primed in every sport to be as good as you can imagine it. So, I wasn't going to get back into college tennis unless I had that opportunity to go to a place where I had no excuse not to build something special.
And if I may, if I play a little bit of devil's advocate with it, when you have guys that have essentially the world, when we think about it, it's a privilege to play college tennis, to have the opportunity to play in places like this, to play in the best stadiums, to have the best PT, to have the best coaches, to have the best training and all these accolades. But then when they go play pro and they don't have the same thing, could that be a problem for these players if they're not shown the right tools to help them succeed after college?
Yeah, that's our responsibility as well.
Yeah.
Our job is to coach the players to coach themselves.
Yeah.
And that's not just in tennis. That's
life.
Yeah. So we're preparing these guys for the next chapter.
Yeah.
And if it is on the tour, then we're taking them to futures.
Yeah.
And we're showing them how to book practice courts, how to get your rackets done, how to travel properly, how to find the cheapest flights, how to rent a one-way car from one city to another, and not pay an extra $400 to rent one car from one city
and then rent another,
and then hold it on for a week and return it at a new city. Just the ins and outs that are going to maximize your experience.
That people forget what happens, and especially on the professional side, you're your own coach, physio.
You're your own
travel
studio.
You become your own corporation, which is tough to see sometimes in the pro world too, because as an independent contractor that players are, it's hard to see how they struggle, even if you're top 100 in the world.
Yeah, no, it's again, it's hard for them to hire the right people around them, to be honest. Leadership in tennis is tough. I think that's why we had an amazing opportunity at the USTA and continue to do to impact those guys and then help lead them into becoming a CEO, hiring the right people around them. We're only as good as the people around us. And you see that time and time again with guys that break through. And there's somebody within that team that is remarkable. That is as selfless as they come. That is driving insanely hard. And it's hard at the tour level. I mean, again, especially now with these college jobs. I mean, you have 3 paid college positions amongst all the Power 5 schools, and then some. There's country clubs throughout the country that pay extremely well. So getting touring coaches these days and getting people that are willing to travel for 35 weeks out of their year, 40 weeks out of the year, not have health insurance in many ways.
They're kind of just living week by week, and it's not even in your control. If your player's not doing well, they're not going to pay you. If you don't have another job that's bringing in income, how do you survive? I think that's the hardest thing for people to grasp.
And I look back when I was a touring coach. I did it when I was 24 years old. And I didn't know anything. I mean, not that I know anything now, but I simply just tried hard. I simply just, guys needed to get practice courts. Guys needed to get their racket strong. Guys needed to practice insanely hard and have somebody across the net that was thinking about them.
Absolutely.
That's what I was. Before I knew it, I was 28, and that's when I first became a national coach at USTA. But nowadays 24, 25-year-olds, there's just so much opportunity that, you don't see too many young touring coaches anymore. You don't see, and so that's why you see so many players, top juniors that are coming to college because they realize that resources out there are really hard to come by.
Yeah.
Resources here are incredible and only going up.
Yeah.
And why don't I lean on these resources to get me to 300, 350?
Yeah, absolutely.
A place where I can afford to somewhat surround myself with a team.
And help support me up until the point I can be financially independent.
Exactly.
And we a lot of these topics we talked about before we started recording when we were talking on Friday and Saturday. But having the number 1 junior in the world commit to Texas, right? And Juwan's going to.
Yep.
And Bai's going there. And then Fonesca, who just won the U.S. Open Juniors, is supposedly going to Virginia.
Yep.
Guy, for someone that's signed with Rogers' agent company and sponsored by On, and the first, I believe, U.S. Open Juniors singles winner to go to college tennis since someone did it in 2005, I believe. I can't remember the name right now. I just remember the date. But when you have guys like that committing to go to college tennis, what does that mean for not just you, but for NCAA tennis as a whole?
Well, again, name, image, and likeness certainly played a role in this.
Yes.
You just brought up, and the light bulb went off that he's with Team 8.
Yeah.
Great agency.
Amazing agency.
The best, arguably the best. And then he's with On, and he has contracts. You can keep those contracts now.
Yeah.
He needs to play in the Virginia clothing.
Yeah.
And they need to play in the Texas clothing by and
Fonesca.
And so, but off court, they can continue
with their contract.
They're going to continue to play a tremendous amount of futures.
Yep.
They're going to continue to play at
challengers.
They're going to fulfill those contracts. So they're still going to make that money.
Yes.
So we can't forget about that aspect, but I don't want to take away from their decision and from college tennis and the fact that everyone's realizing that the opportunity within college tennis is amazing.
Yeah.
The resources are amazing. You got 3 full-time coaches dedicated to you.
Just to you.
You've got structure. You've got facilities. You've got trainers. You've got so much support system that you won't have that. What the Virginia team and what these guys have, they will not have again unless they get to the top 10 in the world.
Yeah, which is true.
And
the harsh reality of it is that.
Are they going to have a masseuse on the staff that they can be on the table 3 to 5 times a week?
Yeah.
At Challengers, they don't have at US Open, you have the massage room.
Yep.
And Slams, you have the massage room, but some ATP events, it's hard to get on the table.
Yeah, it's not going to be possible with that kind of luxury.
Yeah.
You have to call it that.
Yep.
Because there's no other way that one can afford that if they're not in that financial stability zone of, honestly, 50 and above.
Yep.
Which is hard to think about.
Yeah, and so why not develop physically, mentally, and take a little bit of pressure off. Pressure's a privilege, no denying it.
Yep.
But again, if you don't have the resources, you don't have the money, that's a pressure that everyone's felt probably at some point in their life, and it's not a good pressure.
Yeah.
So to see these top players coming to college, I've been waiting for it to happen for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Being a massive advocate for college tennis, I love to see it. And love to compete against it. Yeah. And hopefully we draw a few of those top players.
Yeah.
We have so far, and hopefully we continue to do so. But you can't miss out on the component of higher education as well.
Yeah. Kind of having that backfall
and the pride that comes with it.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll get asked, especially as an American, you'll get asked the rest of your life where you went to college.
Exactly.
It's one of the first questions.
It's when you meet someone new. Oh,
Yep.
Where'd you go?
Exactly.
Oh, exactly.
Yep. And for some, it's hard to say that you didn't go to college, you know, and unless you're Andy Roddick, it's hard to say that I didn't go to school, you know.
Even James Blank went to Harvard.
He went to Harvard. Yep.
Exactly.
And obviously John was Georgia, and you know, Sock didn't go to school, but he was number one junior in the world.
Yeah.
And again, you got to just understand if it's going to do damage or if it's not.
Yeah.
You know, and for some, you know, I've coached a few players that they came from very successful families. Their siblings are very successful.
Yep.
And they decide not to take a full ride to Stanford or Virginia or Oklahoma State, and go on to the Futures Tour. And 3 years, 4 years into it, they're at 200 in the world, and
they probably regret it.
Yeah, and then you've got a guy that comes out like Ben Shelton, and within 3 months, on top of being a Florida Gator, he goes to top 10 in the world and passes you up.
Yeah,
that hurts, you know. And I've been a part of that.
Yeah,
you know, I've had a player that has had a guy come out that was behind him.
Yeah, and
went to college, had a lot of fun, got a lot better, relieved a little bit of stress,
and thrived.
And then thrived.
Yeah.
So, again, not saying that you got to go to college, but you got to understand the option, and understand if not going to college, and in 3 years from now, if you are 200 in the world, if it's going to hurt or not.
Yeah.
And if you're going to continue to trust your process, your journey, and everything. Because if you're not, then again, come to college for a year.
Yeah.
Come to college, have that tie. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, these guys leave here, they know they always have a home.
Yeah.
They know they always have a coach.
Yep.
They know that they always have a support system.
Yeah, exactly.
Here in Stillwater. So, you know, Tyler Zink will be here a lot moving forward. I'm going to dedicate my summer to Tyler Zink.
Yeah.
Now that I once they leave this program, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
You know, the rules are essentially no longer in a lot of ways. Yeah. You know, Alex Garcia, when he comes over and plays in the U.S., we'd love to have AG. You know, even
former player Julian Cash, that we've had on the channel too.
Yep, who didn't happen to be one of the players while I was here, but
still, regardless, came back.
Exactly. Once a Cowboy, always a Cowboy. This is his program. He was a huge part of building this program to what it is.
Yeah.
You know, you always got to remember the ones that stood before you.
Exactly.
You know, coaches, staff, and players. You know, and so
I agree, and
they're always welcome.
I 100% agree. And DC, I honestly can't thank you enough for this weekend. This has probably been one of the most fun weekends of my life. Not just doing this, but just in general, and how hospitable you guys have been to me. So I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. For you, if we want to follow the program, social media, your social media is DT, and then what is your rest of your Instagram name?
It's a great question. DT OK State Men's Tennis.
Okay.
But that's, and then, you know, I have a personal account, of course, that some follow, but
that's rare.
But we got Cowboy Tennis, Twitter, which
perfect.
Again, we benefit, you know, at these big Power 5 schools to having great SIDs.
Yeah.
And then okstate.com.
Perfect. Awesome.
So no, thank you for all that you do for tennis.
Thank you
for you know, exposing what college tennis is all about. Great programs in this country.
Thank you.
Again, it's people like you that put us on the map and that grow the game.
Thank you. So, I really do appreciate that, and I can't wait to be here for NCAAs. I cannot wait.
Hopefully, I'm not in this chair and in the tournament director chair. Hopefully, I'm on court. But but just know that you always have a home here in Cowboy Tennis, and we loved having you.
Thank you, DT. Appreciate it.